Good morning. Good morning. You guys already know it is Teach Us Tuesday in the Building Your Own Six Figure Business Facebook group. But I'm also sharing on YouTube and on LinkedIn because I think this information is needed in all of my communities. We are not talking, hold on for 1 second. LinkedIn is doing what LinkedIn does. We have to pull them out and then pull them back. LinkedIn is such fun. And so we are pulling them out and then putting them back in. And we're connected to LinkedIn. So hello, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube. We're in the group Building Your Own Six-Figure Business. And we are talking about business credit, like the business funding blueprint in order for you to get business credit and get funded. So good morning, Elijah. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Good morning, Linda.
But thank you for joining me for Teach Us Tuesday. And so my LinkedIn is not acting well this morning, but I'll keep working on that. So please, Elijah, introduce yourself, who you are. Tell us about CBR.
I'm Elijah Cheeks, owner of CBR Capital. We're a consulting firm that helps business owners access capital by not using any of their personal assets. This is a way for them to obtain financial freedom, but at the exact same time, an opportunity to protect themselves from any type of financial ruin that could happen from a business failing. So, our objective is to make sure our business owners are successful, even if their businesses aren't.
I like it. I like it. And that success, a lot of times, because I hear all the time, the one thing people say, we don't have access to capital. Like I hear businesses say that so often. And I think about it's not that they don't have access to capital, it's they don't have access to people who know how to help them get access to capital, right?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I really do believe that when it comes to getting funding, it really is just a formula. And as long as you know how to structure your company correctly and your own personal profile correctly, there is at least $50,000 of funding out there for every entrepreneur that really wants to fulfill their dreams.
And that is good news. That
Yes.
is good news on so many levels to so many businesses to help them to find the things that they need in order to build their business, like the funding that they need in order to build their business. So, what type of business do you think should be taking advantage of the information that you're going to provide for us today?
Well, I would say any business that is a firm that is not in what is called a restricted industry. So
Mm.
you can Google what the restricted industries are, and that would be like in the liquor section of business. There are certain types of services like credit repair that is considered a restricted industry for funding. So if you're doing a business as any other type of owner, if you're in construction, even if you're in trucking, this is for you. Those other businesses may actually look as high risk, but there's
Mm.
still opportunity to get lending and also to build your business credit and personal credit in a way where you'll be able to access lots of funding.
I love it. I love it. I love it because I hear this. This is going to be the answer to a lot of people who are like, "How do I get funding?" Like, I know I could be better if I just had a few more dollars, right?
Hmm.
And so, if you have a presentation for us.
I sure do.
Okay, so if you want to cue that up, we can get started on you presenting that to us. And then I will bow out while you do your thing.
Okay, let me see if I can do this right now. Hmm.
I love technology. It
A
has
lot of
been the
fun.
pain of my existence here lately. I tell you what,
So I think I'm sharing my screen. How's it working
I
out?
don't see it. I don't see it yet.
Okay, let's see here. Let's try again. Let's see if it works this time.
Okay. I know, Dr. Gorman. We're working on it.
No, it's not sharing again, huh?
No.
Okay.
Is it possible for you to email it to me and then I can share it on my end?
Yeah, yeah, it might be possible. Let me see if I can do that.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
We love technology.
Here we go.
Early in the morning technology, right?
It's the best type. Okay, now I'm just gonna send you this email. And I'm just sending it as a PDF.
Okay.
Hopefully, hopefully this is the full presentation. If not, we'll try again. Here we go.
Are you sending it to the info or the LSMB?
LSMV, and that
Okay.
actually what I sent you is not what we need.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, this is fun. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, listen, hey, party over here. But I, anytime I have information that's going to be of value to people, there are these obstacles that appear, right? But we just keep pressing through.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep pressing on. The anticipation is building. I hear you, Dr. Gorman. I think this is going to be exactly what you've been waiting for. Dr. Gorman, where are you? Where are you located? West Texas. Okay.
I believe you should be able to
I should see it now.
send it to you in an email.
Okay.
I think you'll be able to open it. It's a link, and now it's public. So you should be able to share screen and go through the presentation.
Okay.
Let's see if that works.
And you did send it to LSMB.
Yes, I sure did. Let's see. Info at Ellis.
Okay.
Info. Yep, I replied to the other email. Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. No worries. I'll find that. There. And there. And we have it. It's loading.
Beautiful.
Can you see it?
I sure can.
Perfect.
Awesome. So I'll ask you to change slide.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So thank you everyone for your patience, and especially you, doctor. And I really want to say that I'm grateful that you decided to spend your morning with us today. And my objective is to make it worth it, and make sure that I can be concise but effective in my information and give you the chance for Q&A later. Change slide. Thank you, Linda. So here's what we'll cover today. I'll talk briefly about who I am, so that way you understand how I got the information that I'm sharing with you. I'm also going to dive into what we call the funding trifecta. In our company, CBR Capital, we know that there's different ways to get funding, and what we focus on is unsecured capital, the type of capital that is not connected to any assets, because that is the type of lending that allows us to have the most freedom and the least risk. We also can spend time diving into any questions at the end. And then there'll be a limited offer where you'll get the chance to actually go ahead and schedule time with me just for being part of Linda's community. So let's go to the next slide. So hopefully we get to do great things together. I'm Elijah. I started off as an entrepreneur at the ripe young age of 17 years old. While I was in college, I was selling items from Walmart to my dorm mates, and it was really fun. It was like Sprite and honey buns, and I just tried to undercut the prices of the vending machines, buy in bulk. I made flyers that I printed from a computer, and I passed them around my entire dorm, and I would turn a profit of about $15.78 every single week. And I would use that to really motivate myself into entrepreneurship. Later on, by the time I was 20, I bought my first property. I ran my own office with a company. I got my mortgage broker's license at that time too. I had some really lofty goals of being really wealthy at a very young age. So I really worked hard to keep on growing. So I bought a business in my mid-20s, and I did this with business credit, using none of my capital and having to put up no collateral, and also using owner financing. And this business was already running, and it was already doing over $100,000 of revenue annually, and it cost me $0. So when I was able to do that, I really got excited about buying more assets. I would wholesale property, and now I own multiple businesses, and my consulting firm, CBR Capital, helps owners be at the epicenter of their ecosystem of businesses with the least amount of risk, regardless of what type of business they own. Next slide. So what I'm excited to talk to you about is the first part of the funding trifecta. The first part of the funding trifecta that we're all pretty familiar with is personal credit. Most of us, if not all of us, have a FICO score that we're aware of. And you can get that on Credit Karma, Experian.com, tons of websites. However, when it comes to being compliant, and when I say compliant, I mean fundable. So that way a bank is willing to give you business credit cards and business lines of credit. There are some data points that you really want to take a close look at on your personal credit. Now, I know there's lots of places where you can monitor your score. You'll notice that I won't really talk a lot about credit score. And the reason why is because your credit score is a reflection of whatever FICO is being bought by that institution. So Credit Karma uses a different FICO than Identity IQ. And because they have different FICOs, they'll have different scores. So to make sure that you have all the right data points, what really matters is what's on your credit report. Step one, you want to make sure you have at least 10 accounts. Now, with those 10 accounts, the age of those accounts matter. So making sure that on average, those accounts are at least 2 to 5 years old, that makes a big difference. Now, for some people, having a 2-year-old account and using what's called like an authorized user, or some people call it piggybacking, where someone else makes them an authorized user on a credit card, so that way they get the age of the person they're authorized for. They want to use that strategy to help them with funding. The truth of the matter is that's only going to help in certain types of funding. For example, that would help if someone wants to buy a car. And the reason why is because a car is an asset that has collateral, and they're pretty sure that you're going to pay for it, because if you don't, they take the car, and they actually win in that battle financially if they do get the car. And an authorized user will lower your rate, and that will add value. But if we're talking about getting a business line of credit, which is cash that the bank gives you with a checkbook that's written to you, just like our client got literally 60 days ago. She's a business owner. She's in the Missouri area. Her business doesn't do a ton of money. So a $30,000 business line of credit was a big deal for her. So now she has $30,000 that she can use, so that way she can keep on educating people in the community that she's in about how to raise their children so that they get good grades. And that's her business model. Now, I share that with you because this is great for any type of business, but what's important is your credit profile. Like her credit profile, you want to have at least 10 accounts. You want to make sure they have some age, and authorized users aren't going to add the value that you want them to. When it comes to utilization, you want to make sure that all of your credit cards have utilization that's at least under 30%. And you want to make sure you have at least 2 cards that are over $5,000 in limit. The reason why that part is important is because your credit card company will actually go out of its way to look at your personal credit card limits when you apply for a business credit card. And they will give you a business credit card that is 2 to 5 times the size of your personal credit cards. What does that mean? That means if you have a $1,000 credit card, the biggest business credit card you'll get is $5,000. But if you have a $5,000 credit card, then you can get a $25,000 business credit card. And there are $50,000 business credit cards out there too. And if you have a $10,000 card on your personal profile, you have a shot. Now, obviously, if you have a 20 or 30K card, it's almost a slam dunk, right? So how do you get your credit card limits higher? Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time on this one part of the actual trifecta. So we are going to move on to the next part. But if you do want some tips, schedule with me after. Okay, we're going to give you a link in a way that you can do that today. And it's a limited time, so make sure that you do schedule soon because that link is not going to be available forever. This is going to be your opportunity to schedule with me one-on-one so I can go through your personal credit and your business credit profile and tell you exactly what we call your funding potential index score is. So we want to show you what your FPI score is so that way you know if you should actually go to the bank or if you should wait or if you should use a broker so you don't have to be indecisive and you get some experts that help you along that path. So next slide, if you don't mind, Linda. Thanks a ton. The next part of the trifecta, after and by the way, if your personal credit is not up to par, then it is still worth it to build your business credit. I get that question all the time. And the reason why it's worth it is because you can build your business credit independent of your personal credit. However, when you have both of them really doing well, when they both have a great profile, I promise you, you will get better results consistently. So let's talk about your business credit profile. Well, you have to make sure that you are business credit compliant. Just like we had to be personally credit compliant, we have to be business credit compliant. What does that mean? Well, that does mean in today's day and age that you do need to have a business email, which is an email that ends with @yourcompanyname.com. You notice that Linda was doing a great job of trying to help me with the email and the technology stuff today because it's not my thing, obviously. And when we were talking, she goes, hey, did you send it to the info or did you send it to the LSMB? Well, she has an info at hercompanyname.com, which is called a professional email. That makes her one step closer to being qualified for funding with that business versus if she uses an @gmail.com. Now, here's the thing. Creditors, when they actually look for you online or they look to see if you're credible, because that's what creditors do, they're checking for credibility, right? They'll actually go and take that @yourcompanyname.com and they'll highlight it and they'll put it in the URL and they'll see what comes up. This is so important for you as a business owner to understand this because if you have a URL that's a companyname.com and you're not actually hosting anywhere, if it's not an actual website, if when you go it says like, an error and it's not an actual website, you can actually fail for funding just for that reason alone. So make sure that the website that's on your company email is active. Now let's talk about that website for a second here, right? We have to make sure that it's not just active, but your website has data that makes it easy to contact the business. So what data do they look for? Well, they're going to call the phone number in most cases that's on the website. A lot of owners don't realize this. And this is why having a Google Voice phone number guarantees that you're going to get declined. They will check Google every single time. And when they call that phone number, they are going to actually wait for someone to pick up or for the voicemail. Here's a pro tip. Do not let the voicemail on your business line be an automated message. That automated message will automatically get you declined. And I know I keep on talking about what's going to get you declined. Well, you have to understand that the underwriter's job is to find reasons not to give you lending. They're not eager to get you lending. And this is why it's so confusing for most bankers and for most business owners. I have a client, Steven, we'll call him, right? And Steven actually has gone to the bank trying to get a $50,000 business line of credit, and Steven's business does millions of dollars annually. Now, the problem is he's not compliant. Now, Steven has no clue until he met us and we started working with him and we did our internal audit with our business credit technician. He had no clue that he was not compliant. Why was he not compliant? Well, it was simple. His company on its Secretary of State documents had a different name than his company website. That was it. Why do they have different names? Because he's doing business as. Now, we've all done that before. Tons of people have businesses where they do business as. Nothing wrong with the DBA. However, the problem was it's reporting double everywhere. So he has data for the DBA here and data for this here. So it's confusing to the creditors, and the creditors are looking for reasons to say no, not reasons to say yes. So now he gets declined for a measly $50,000 line of credit that would really help his healthcare business out so he could help with payroll. And why? What's the reason? Just because of some paperwork that he just didn't realize was even an issue. Oh, and even worse, the address was different on his bank statements than on there. Now, does this make him a bad business owner? No. He's doing millions of dollars of revenue. I would say he's an amazing business owner. It's just a blind spot. And it's a blind spot that all of us as owners need to take care of. Otherwise, when we try to grow, which we can't do just purely off of revenue, not at the rates that we really want to grow, we're going to miss out. And for those of you who are in the Ramsey mindset about debt and you're like, debt's bad, I hate debt, I get it. I do believe there's such thing as bad debt. Like if you're going into debt for luxury items, then that's bad. But if you're going into debt and it's for your business, then it's actually a tax write-off. And ask your accountant if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay. And if your business is profiting and you're making money and you're using debt, I don't see the problem with that, because now it's just an instrument and a tool. You have to have discipline if you're going to use debt. Debt without discipline is just a tool that can hurt you. But if you have debt with discipline and a plan, it's a tool that can help you gain a lot of wealth the exact same way that the richest man on the planet, Elon Musk, has. He's literally not paid any taxes because he's leveraged every single company he's had. So I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I am telling you this is something worth being educated on, because there's lots of opportunity in it, and lots of wealthy people, they know exactly how to work this system consistently in every economy, by the way. Doesn't matter what economy we're talking about, good, bad, up or down. These cycles just keep on happening faster and faster. So this is the compliance section. We're going to go to the next slide. Thank you so much for that, Linda. You're awesome at this, by the way. I should bring you everywhere. I wish I could have you at every single appointment I did, every time we had to meet with people. I really appreciate your time and your help here. But the next part is compliance and making sure that your business credit is built correctly. So that's the third leg, right? So some people, they do have their business compliant. And some of you are listening here and you're like, yeah, I have the company email and my Secretary of State isn't a PO box. And I'm using a virtual address. And I want to share with you that virtual addresses can work for certain types of funding, but there's other types of funding where it won't. So I highly encourage you, if you're growing your business and you're serious about your business, that you use an address that has 4 walls and a key. That could be your home. There's plenty of multi-million dollar businesses being ran out of homes, right? It could be like a virtual office, but just an office that you pay for 4 walls and a key and a lock. Because what happens is the creditor is going to Google your business address when you put it on the application. When they Google it, if it's a virtual address, even if they give you your own little special box, what's going to happen is they're going to see 100 other people with that exact same address currently. Right? And it's going to be on Google as a different name and they're going to see the address and it's going to be like a Regis location, and they'll do an auto decline in most cases. Okay. Now, if you have an actual office inside there, you'll have a completely different address. That won't be an issue. It won't be multiple people with your address, right? But you usually have to pay more for the 4 walls and a key. So that way you're separated from everyone else who's virtual. So that's a word to the wise if you want other types of funding that you can get with your business credit, where your business literally stands alone and your personal credit does not matter. We have a client right now. She has a felony. And I know that for a lot of people who've ever had a felony, the worst thing in their life may be the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their life. And the reason why is because it cuts them off from employment opportunities. It cuts them, not literally, but on every application they have to put it there, and every person they apply for says no because you have a felony, right? And then the other thing that it cuts them off to is housing opportunities, because you have to put on your rental application, have you ever had a felony? So, and then they get declined and say, and then when it comes to lending, they put, have you ever had a felony? When you try to get like SBA lending and certain types of lending, and you have to check it off, and then you get declined lending. Right now, our client who has a felony owns a property and owns multiple businesses. Now, You can own property. You just have to buy it with, maybe not a loan, right? You have to buy it cash or get grants. She's very savvy. That's what she's done. She also has gone out of her way to utilize us to build her business credit on her business entity that will stand separately from her without using her social, which will be able to get funded irrespective of her circumstance. So that's why this is important for all types of entrepreneurs, right? Because there is access to capital. You just have to understand the nuances and how to get it, right? And how to sometimes separate yourself from the company. Because if it's just you and the company and that's how it looks like on paper, you're not really protected too much legally. And you're not going to be able to maximize your opportunity financially. So when it comes to business credit building, there's a couple of things you got to keep in mind. It has to happen in phases if you're doing it organically. Most people, they build business credit by mistake, but it never is enough for them to get funding because that inorganic way of building business credit could take about 5 years for most people. What will they do? They might buy something from Granger. They may buy something from Quill, and then they'll pay it off. And they believe that they now have business credit. and the fact of the matter is, what they have is 2 net 30 vendor accounts that they've paid off that report to Dun & Bradstreet, which is a actual business credit bureau, which reports an actual thing called a paydex score. However, in order to get a paydex score to report, you don't have to buy things from Quill and Granger 1,000 times. You actually have to buy from 4 different vendors just once. So that's how sometimes people end up spending tons of money with vendors, 3-4 years. They think that they have this amazing business credit history because they've been great with these 2 vendors, but it won't even produce a paydex score until you have 4. So that's layer 1, right? And when it comes to building your business credit, there's all these little nuances, and it's from not just layer 1 to layer 2 to layer 3. So it doesn't just end with building your paydex score. The next layer is your IntelliScore, and that's reported by Business Experian. And then the next layer is your Equifax commercial, right? And you want to make sure that you actually have all of these reporting favorably. And if you're curious on what a favorable score is, you can easily Google that on all of those, right? But you can go to nav.com, start your business credit monitoring journey there, and start following some of the rules and take some of their tips to get started. If you wanted to hire a team like ours, we would have a business credit technician who would send you emails, give you a phone call every single week in the first month, call every single month to make sure that you're on track. And I would actually meet with you personally, quarterly, to make sure you're on track and help you and educate you along the process, because it's not important to just have the actual ability to access capital, but to have the right mindset of what you're going to do with that capital, right? So I want to make sure that everyone who goes through our program is doing it to grow their business and to grow themselves, because that's the most important thing and aspect of what we do is we help people grow. Now, when it comes to the actual latter part of getting funded with business credit, understand that now that you have a business credit profile that's reporting well, what does that mean? That means you have a paydex score of 80, an IntelliScore above 60, an Equifax commercial that's 420. Those are some favorable scores. Once that's happening, boom, there are banks that are going to give you some business credit cards in your business's name, and they don't have to report to your personal at all. These cards can be as high as $25,000. It's pretty awesome. We have a client right now. His name is Ken. Ken is someone who's dear to my heart. He's been with us for 4 years. He's been with us through all of our growth, and now he's actually testing on companies that he's building himself. He's buying aged corporations. He's building them. He's testing them. And one test we're doing is to see if there's this $40,000 term loan we can get that's only in the business's name because we built the business's credit. And if that's possible, it opens up so much more opportunities for him. He's looking at trying to get away from his job, even though it pays well. It doesn't serve him well. It takes up all of his time, it takes up all of his energy, and it takes him away from things that he loves and things he wants to do with his life. So he's trying to get financial freedom. It's not even about the money. He makes $250,000 a year, but he really just wants to have that feeling of autonomy and happiness and joy. And he knows he can't do that from behind a desk working all day and all night and then being too tired for his fiance and not really building the life he's excited about. So that's what we're here for, is to help people live their dreams, right? So next slide. This is your opportunity to ask a couple of questions. I know that we only had it from 8 to 9, so I did everything I could to try and condense everything and get it done. It looks like we have 3 minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Linda, I would hope, would relay those questions to me, and then I
Absolutely.
do my best to answer them for you, or say schedule with us and we'll answer them one-on-one because we're running out of time. But I'd love to field any questions y'all have.
I don't see any questions right now. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I don't see any questions right now. I do know that we had people on in Cleveland, Tennessee, and in West Texas that had joined us.
Hi,
If
West
you,
Texas. Good to see you guys.
yeah,
I'm actually not too far from you. I'm actually out here in Texas right now. So if you have any questions specifically about Texas or anything in regards to their banks, I would love to give you some advice.
absolutely. And I am looking to make sure that there are no questions out there. Even if you're watching this on the replay, you can still get your questions answered. This will be up for at least 48 hours. And so, watching it and then asking your questions, you'll get your responses back in the next 48 hours. We'll make sure that all the questions are answered before we take it down. But this is great information. And the number one question I hear is we don't have access to capital. And it's not that, it's just getting ready and doing all the prerequisites you need to have in place in order to get access to the cash.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And right now, I think is a great time to show people where they get the limited opportunity to find out their FPI score, where we can connect with them. Linda, I do believe I did send you the link, but I believe we were on Zoom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this link again. Let me see if I can put it in the chat here.
I think I have it.
Oh, if you
Yeah.
do
Oh, no,
that.
I don't. No, I don't.
Good,
I do have it. I do have it because I actually took it and put it on a Word document to make
oh,
sure that I had it. So I do
okay.
have it.
Good. So if you can share that for everybody, that's an
Absolutely.
opportunity for them to
Absolutely. So if you want to go
connect.
deeper into this conversation and get more information on how you can get your business credit where it needs to be in order for you to do business the way you dreamed of doing business, like what does having access to capital mean to you? And so I hear it over and over and over and over. So this is the answer. It's Teach Us Tuesday. And on Teach Us Tuesday, we teach business owners something that they may or may not be aware of, give them a refresher or introduce them to a new idea. I love that you talked about the net 30 because you and I were talking earlier about a person, and the situation was he talked about his business went through some things and he had some net 30 accounts and he didn't make the payments. And he was like, and I'm in the mode of rebuilding. And I told him, well, that's a starting, benchmark. Start there, get those back in play. And then I asked him, I said, you really need Elijah in your life. Really need Elijah in your life.
Yeah. And if he did have some lates with his net 30s, if he's listening to this, I do want to let you know that's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
You definitely can dispute those. So that way, once they're back in good standing, it doesn't report negatively on your business credit report anymore. Just like you can dispute things on your personal credit report if they're reporting negatively, right? So the onus of proving it's usually put onto the company. Most companies don't try to prove it because it's not that big of a deal to them, right? And usually you can be in good standing in no time, maybe 90 days, right? And
Love
then
that.
your scores are back up. So I highly encourage you to dispute them if you can, or work with a team like us where our technicians will actually show you exactly how to dispute it and exactly what to write and to who to write it to and who to call, or we'll do it for you if we can, right? So, yeah, I really wish you the best, and hopefully you figure it all out.
Absolutely. And he can, if you're watching this, you can actually, I'm going to make sure I inbox him the link, but you can actually click the link and schedule an appointment to talk to Elijah. Anyone can. And so the link is in the comments. If you don't see the link, then please reach out to me so I can get you the link, because I want to make sure that everyone who's interested in business credit that you have the access. My thing is giving you the access. I get to answer that question. I don't have access. I get to do a positive thing today. So, on Teach Us Tuesday would be a great day for you to start teaching yourself about how to empower your business, getting great business credit. I love it.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time, everyone who's here, and anyone who decides to connect with us. We look forward to connecting with you. If there's anything that you need from us, feel free to reach out. Our website's right there, cbr-capital.com. You can schedule at any time, and we'll meet you on Zoom.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So that is going to end. Any parting words for our guests who may be just tuning in?
Yeah, sure. There's a cool Einstein quote that says, "You can't." You can't, well, basically, to summarize, you can't change a situation with the same mindset that you had going into it, right?
I love it.
And he uses the word consciousness. You can't, get to a certain level of consciousness with, like, using the same level of consciousness that got you there, right? So as a business owner, whatever has worked for you so far can only work for you to get to where you are so far. You always got to expand. You always have to find people that know things that you don't, whether it be technology and me talking to Linda here, or or if it's just business credit and you talking to our team. So I encourage you to keep on growing and expanding, learning, and also leveraging other people's intelligence to make your life a lot easier.
Absolutely. I second that. I definitely second that. So this was a special edition of the Business Plugs Mixer. I thank you all for tuning in. Join me Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Business Plugs Mixer. Have a great rest of your week. Let's get this week rocking.